How's it going, everybody? Jason here. It's a nice negative 21 Canadian degrees outside, so it's nice to be in the warm bunker working on some videos. Today I'm going to go over the new FAST plugins from Focusrite. So they released 3 of them. There is the FAST Reveal, FAST Compressor, and FAST EQ. And they're marketing these as plugins that help you get to a great sounding mix very quickly, given the AI that they put into it and some of the cool visual features that they have. Price-wise, each plugin is $5.99 UK pounds, and you pay that over a term of 15 months with their subscription model. You can cancel the subscription whenever you want, so if you just want to try them for a month, there's no commitment, but after 15 months, you own the plugin. So the most you're going to pay is 90 UK pounds for each of the plugins, which works out to about 160 Canadian dollars. So, you buy all 3, you're north of 400 Canadian dollars for all 3 of those. And in the wrap up, I'll get into whether or not I would actually pay for those and just some other different plugin suites that are out there that might be a little bit cheaper and get you the same results. So as far as all of the plugins, they are all responsive, so you can resize them in your DAW. I'll put a link in the description to all the DAWs that these plugins will work with. They do give you the audio unit, the AAX, the VST, and the VST3 versions, so it will pretty much work with any modern DAW out there. There'll be just some subtle differences depending on which DAW it is that you're using. So first, I'm going to get into the FAST Reveal. So if you're familiar with the bass guitar kick sidechain trick where you duck your bass guitar so the transient for the kick can pop its way through, that's what this one is for. And then that technique obviously will translate to just about any instrument combination you want as far as getting one certain signal to pop out. So this plugin, the way this one works is you put it on the track that you want to duck or decrease the volume of, so whatever you're sidechaining this plugin to will actually cut through the mix. So I have this on my bass guitar track and I have my sidechain set to my kick drum. As far as the overview, all the interfaces on all 3 plugins is pretty much the same. Your left hand side, you've got a learn button, you've got some profiles here depending on which one you're using. They all have 3 different selectors here depending on the plugin that you've got enabled. The main view, you've got a fast and a detailed view. So fast just gives you basically just some very simple intuitive options for making modifications, and detailed where it will give you detailed parameters based on whichever plugin that you've got selected. Across the top, you've got your presets. I'm using the demo version, so it's fully featured, but you can't save anything. And on the right is either your output or other specialized parameters based on which of the plugins you have selected. So FAST Reveal, I have this on my bass guitar track, and the first thing that you do is you decide what profile is the sidechain instrument. So I'm going to set this to kick. Okay, so let's see how quickly you can use this plugin to make that kick really pop out. So it's as simple as that, just with that ducking control. You can hear already when I have this set to 0, that's basically just the clean signal. And at 100%, it's aggressively getting rid of the bass. So if I leave this around 50%, and I'll just toggle between light, balanced, and heavy. So you can even see in the visual signal, the green is the kick that's really cutting through, and you can hear that it's much, much louder when you have it set on heavy. So a cool thing you can do in the detailed view is you can actually restrict this by frequency band. So you can hear how that's just changing based on the range that you have selected. You get the full range from 20 Hertz all the way up to 20 kHz. Not so much a big deal on the bass and the kick sidechain, but if you wanted to do some cool things like blending acoustic guitars and electric guitars, or blending vocals, it's cool that you also have that option to be able to do that just within a certain frequency range. So the last thing with the Reveal plugin is you get the ability to preview just the sidechain signal. You can listen to what is being ducked, so the signal that's being taken out of your background track or just the raw unprocessed. So let's put this to balanced and let's put this back down to 50. Let's listen to just the sidechain, what's coming through. And here's the raw unprocessed signal. And if I solo the duck, so you can hear how much of the bass is actually coming out. So now if I keep it on, leave that soloed. So as far as this plugin, I would give this one a full pass and I would buy this one. Yes, you can accomplish the same thing by using a regular compressor with your regular side chaining technique, but this actually is super fast to be able to do this, and I can already see how I would use this actually in my whole mix on a whole range of instruments. One thing I like to do is I'll have all of my tracks going out to a music track and I'll sidechain my vocal track to it and then use a plugin called Vocal Rider to actually ride the vocal on top of the music so it sits in the mix, and I could see how I would be able to use this to very quickly balance harmonies and balance other types of instruments. So this one, I think, yes, I would give this one a full pass and I would actually use this one because it is a lot quicker. But yes, if you're already experienced using sidechain compression techniques, you probably wouldn't need this. The other thing is it's a really good learning tool, so you don't have to worry about dealing with attack and release and all of these other parameters. It's good if you do learn that stuff, especially if you are planning on a career in mixing and running your own studio. But as far as getting results, which is really the only thing that matters, this one is really, really super fast. So now let's move on to the compressor. All right, so the compressor, again, the layout is the same. You get a responsive layout, and you've got your parameters here on the left as far as your presets and some of your soft, neutral, hard settings, your input, output, your main area with your fast or your detailed view, and then your output on the right. So this is a single that I released, Southern Bells and Cocktails, just over a month ago. So it's going to be awesome when I get the copyright notice on stuff that I own that YouTube is going to take this video down. So as far as the compressor, it works exactly the same. I have this on my Nashville tuned acoustic track, and you choose what instrument. This is going to be a guitar. I click on Learn. So when you're in fast view, you just get to see a visual representation here, and you can adjust the compression softer or harder depending on your preference there. So if I go through and just toggle through soft, neutral, and hard, so you can turn the auto gain off and you can adjust your output as well. So the way it gives you this visual representation is actually really cool. So as a learning tool, this is a really great way to learn how compression works. There's 20 bazillion tutorials on YouTube, but if you're relatively new to that, this is very cool to be able to just see that visual representation. When you go into detailed view, that's where you get some of the extra options here. So you can see as I'm toggling through soft, neutral, and hard, it's changing the ratio, the threshold, the attack, the release, and the knee. So the cool thing with this is if you just want to start messing around in detailed view, it's actually going to color code these sections. The knee is a little more subtle, so the knee is basically a hard knee would be it's really clamping down hard when the compressor kicks in versus a more rounded shaving off of the transient, if you will. So it's cool that it shows you that, because again, that is a pretty good learning tool. Instead of just watching tutorials and playing around with, you can actually see how the audio signal is affected. And that's really about it. It's pretty simple and easy to get fast results. And all three of these plugins, all of these parameters can be controlled through automation as well. And that is really it for the compressor. Yes, it is very fast to be able to go through and create these. But if you are already familiar with how compression works, I really wouldn't see much of a value in this plugin other than it's a really great way to teach you what types of compression settings lead to certain types of results because of the visual nature, plus just how quick and easy it is to use this visual slider here in either fast or detailed view to get the results. So let's move on to the EQ. So the EQ is actually very similar to the Eosis EQ that comes with the Slate products. So the Eosis Air EQ by itself, I think, is $89 US to buy that one. And the benefit that this EQ gives you, let's make sure I got all the rest of these things turned off, yep, is, you know, you can get a frequency spectrum chart and you can learn what all of the different parameters for each of the instruments are, you know, what brings out the body in a snare, or what adds more air, or what removes pick noise and string noise and all this type of stuff. This gives you the same thing basically, but right inside the EQ main window here, and you can adjust based on parameters of a sound as opposed to just frequencies, which is cool. So it has the same settings as the other ones. Down the left you've got your either your input output, in this case it's intensity, and your gain, your warm, neutral, bright, and then your presets, your learn button, your main window, and then your output here on the right. So I'm going to switch this to acoustic guitar, so you can see it also just change the parameters to body, picking, and air. If I switch that to, say, snare, it's now punch, knock, slap, and presence, so that's pretty neat. Put this back to acoustic guitar and learn. So there's your signal, and now suppose I wanted this to sound to sound a little more full. I mean, it's a Nashville tuned guitar, so it's supposed to sound bright and airy. And with the presets here, if you want it to be warm, it will automatically adjust your overall curve. So if I put this on my other acoustic guitar, which is my Ovation, let's have a little listen here. Acoustic guitar, learn. So now when you switch to detailed view, this is where you obviously get more control, and it functions more like your typical EQ. So you can click on any of these bands. So you can see body, it's here at 164 Hertz. You can adjust your Q, so your wide or your narrow band within that spectrum, and you can solo each of these individual ones. So solo works in any of the views. And like any visual EQ, this one works very similar to the Q series EQs from Waves. So the Q2, 4, 6, 8, or 10, whatever it is, you can click on any of these frequencies and you can adjust them wherever you want. Now, because I moved it out of that character range, obviously I can't control that, but I can reset that and put that back here as well. So I can put it back to what the original preset parameter was. So fast Yes, absolutely. So I know I went through all three of these quick, but really the selling feature of these is to be able to get to good quality mixes faster. I would give them a pass on all of them, and I would say that they're really targeted at maybe a couple of different people. One, if you're brand new to mixing, or maybe you don't have a lot of experience, you don't know the entire frequency spectrum yet, you don't really understand the nuances of compression, subscribing to these for a couple of months and making notes as you're going through some of these fast settings here actually could be a really good way to learn that type of stuff. So I could see it being a benefit there. The other benefit is, you know, if you are a small studio or you want to get into mixing music for people, you can get very, very fast results with these, and it's very easy to go in and modify these. So the faster you get stuff done, the more clients you can take on, the more money you can make. Again, you can accomplish the exact same thing with pretty much any other plugin out there. So to get into the final wrap up, out of these three, I would probably take the Reveal plugin only. So I do have lots of bassline projects and a lot of presets for all types of instruments and music genres just because I've been doing it for a while. I wouldn't really see a benefit for myself, especially the compression one, definitely not. I wouldn't get that one at all. The EQ one would be kind of a maybe because I used to subscribe to the Steven Slate bundle where you get the EISIS Air EQ, which is the same concept. You get warm, well, they have fire, water, and neutral, so warm, neutral, bright, and the EQ bands are labeled the same way, so you get the same, you know, body picking air for acoustics or for guitars, and you get punch and smack and stuff like that for your drums. And instead of having to worry about frequency ranges and learning all those nuances, it's kind of nice to have that. But the more you mix, the more things you work on, you start to learn these things. So I would say the only way I would get all three of these is if I was relatively new and I wanted to use them as a teaching tool, because I could go in and mix my songs and mess around with stuff, and I could see what is the range that brings out the picking in certain instruments, or what brings more air, etc. So to get into a final wrap up, again, north of $400 for all of these three is pretty steep. I would probably pick the Steven Slate bundle over top all three of these no matter what, just because of price, or even the Waves products. I mean, Waves products, they're always having a here's $9,000 worth of plugins on sale today only for $29.99. So you can definitely get similar results by spending a lot less money. I think the benefit of this is exactly as they advertise it. It's a lot faster to get results that you want, given how their AI works and how they've implemented some of the cool visual features. So like and subscribe. Hope you enjoyed this video. I'll try to stay warm in this awesome, nice -21 Canadian degree weather, and I'll see you on the next one.